Hi there. Good evening. How you doing? Hi guys. I hope we are doing well. Um, yeah, we have another session today. I don't know if the others even knew about it, but the calendar stated right. How you guys doing? How is the program going? So basically, I don't have a list of questions. Like, yeah, the form does not have questions. I could literally not hold the session because they are not questions. But let's see how we can do stuff. Do you guys have questions before we start talking about MySQL? Like, I mean, is there any difficulty so far? Like, or you guys are done week 4, week 3, week 2, week 1? Yeah, those were cheap things that you could just brush off. So I just believe you guys don't have problems with that. Anyway, I don't want to believe like that. I want to believe like that as well because there are no questions, and but on the other hand as well, the submissions are pretty low, like very low. So what is the problem? What's going on? All right, sugar. What is the problem? Were you able to succeed with login? Because if you could do login, then reset is literally not supposed to be a problem, because reset could you could get the logic from the login. All right. Let me see if I have something here. Um, mm, let's see. Say reset. No. Let me see something. So where are you lost at the level of reset? Is it that you don't? What is the problem? So literally about the reset, it is similar to the login, right? Let me see. I'm not going to fully give you the logic, but I just want to show you what to do. Let me call it reset.php. And basically what I'm going to do here that, yeah, you said line 22. If you tell me what is on line 22, then we could help, right? Let's say, for example, we have some data here. Let me say file.csv is where our data is, and we have some dummy user, user one, and password as user one, right? Let's see, email user one at gmail.com, and password as 1234. And let's see, let's do the same thing, user two, user two at gmail.com, password 1234 still. All right, so we have this. Basically, what we want to do is that in this reset, we want to open the file and try to get that data, right? So first thing, let's go step by step. I want to, let me just try to look through the file. Hopefully, let me make sure the file is accessible. So I'm going to change the mode here because of the Linux that I'm using. So let me see that. Wow, what's happening? Okay, so let me just change the file permission. Uh, file.csv. Okay, great. So I want to open this file, right? So let's get the first file is equal to uh, f open, right? That's how we open, right? My file name is called file.csv. I'm going to open in read and append mode, I guess, right? And after opening that file, if there is a file, then I should do something, right? So let's see. If there is a file, then let's use a while loop to loop through that file and just print the data out for now. While file is equal to, I don't need that at the moment. I want to just print out the line. Like while I am getting each line of the file, I want to just print out the data. Let me just see this. Dump, and I'm just going to dump the line. Let's just see what this one does at the moment. So let me try to minimize this and localhost php, oh sorry, /learning /php quick 45. And okay, so we have this, and if we click on this, we get the data, right? So user one, and then user two, and so on. So basically, let's see, let's try to, let me see if this fget csv instead of fget, and refresh this. Okay, so basically we have something better now, all with indexes and so on. Okay, so to the next step, right? I'm trying to understand, what are you using? Line 21. Sorry, line 21. I am not seeing your file. I don't know your code. So when you send me line 21, I literally don't know. Just try to follow up here. Let's see something. I want to echo out the data explicitly. line index 0, concatenate it with some data. The content of my screen is not clear. Let me see. I'll try to correct that. Few minutes. Let me. Mm, yeah, hopefully now it should be clear. Let me see. So let me enlarge all the two. Okay, so we have this. I want to actually organize the one printing it. That's why I have this. Uh, this in quotes. Let's see. So I just want to print out this data explicitly so we have something. Okay, so it is well formatted and we can actually see the data the way it is, right? So this is the first step. We look through this and we get the data, right? Now we are just printing it out. At the moment, I want to check this data to get some particular field. For example, if the reset was using a username and sorry, this email and the password, let us try to check that username and password here, right? So I'll be like, okay, let's first of all check. So I'm just going to pass in some dummy data here. Uh, Username equal to user1, user1 gmail.com, password equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically what I want to do, I've just set this up like it is manually set, but for you, you are supposed to get it from the form and assign it. So I want us to go gradually so that you see what we are actually getting into. So first thing I want to do is that I want to check if, let's see, like I said yesterday, let me rename the indexes. This is index 0, this is index 1, and this is index 2, right? So the email is index 1, the password is index 2. So let us check if the line at index, let me just get rid of this at the moment. If the line at index 1 is equal to the username, right? Let's get this. If the line at index 1 is equal to the username, what I want us to do is just to echo out the user already exists, to check that that particular user exists in the database, right? Because we are looping through this file. I'm going to get rid of this at the moment. We're looping through this file, and like I said, this file is CSV, comma separated. Now, when we open this in CSV way, we are going to automatically convert this into an array. So we get user1 at index 0, user1 at gmail.com as index 1, and this at index 2. What we want to do is, okay, so let's check if this username exists, right? So in the loop, we check if line, which is the line we're getting for each of the line, if we check the line is equal to this username, let's just print out user already exists. Now let's try to refresh this, and basically there is a problem. Few minutes. There are literally some methods that when we use, it's really difficult to find out what the problem is. So I am going to, instead of using this, right, let me use while it is not yet the end of the file, like while it is not yet end of the file, and then I can say line is equal to fget csv, right? Line is equal to fget csv file, because literally that one was causing a problem and I don't want to check. Let me just see if this goes. Okay, doesn't still go. I discovered this particular problem this evening, and so I have, if there is a file, let me first of all open this in read mode. We have file.csv. So if line at index 1 is equal to uh, line at index 1 is equal to the username, then let us print out user already exists. Let me see what the problem is here. I'll just try to, first of all, print out the line at index 1. Echo line at index 1, for example, just to make sure that we are on track. Okay, so it's actually printing this out and we are getting this. Now it could just be type errors right now. Let me check a boolean here, equal to username. It should return a boolean, I think so. Let's see. Has somebody been able to detect what the error is here? Because I'm literally not getting it. So while it is not yet the end of the file, let's get each line and echo it out. So if we just echo this out, we actually get the data that is being passed. And let me see. I'll just try to copy this and paste at the moment. So I'm going to try to paste this out and see what the error is, right? So I get this and our data is file.csv. While it is not yet the end of the file, we get the line, we compare whether the index 1 is equal to the email, right? Oh, sorry, the username. Now, basically, I'm going to try to just comment this one out and see if the error is still a problem. So if the first index is equal to our username, then let's print it out. I'm going to try to refresh this. So I was trying this evening and I couldn't really figure it out. I don't know what the problem is. Let me see. I couldn't really figure it out and I'm not seeing the error. Maybe somebody here who has gone through this could point out the error. So we have, could it be the nature of the CSV file? Let me try to check something. Few minutes, guys. Let me check something. It could be the nature of the CSV file. Mm, where did we have that? I go to sound. If we can't figure this out, then we'll check it later. But let me just check the other CSV files and see their nature. Or PHP functions. Let me see where the CSV file is. Also CSV. Let me see the content. Um, let me see. Let me try that this is not comma separated or space and see if it will solve anything. All right. Basically, it was because of the space between the CSV file. Hopefully, that was the error. So now I'm going to try this again. So what we have done here is that, let me just get rid of all of these lines. What we have done here is that, okay, we have looked through this whole file, we get each of the line, right? Then we try to compare the content, right, based on the indexes. Each time there is this comma, there is a change of index. So this one, like I said, will be index 0. And after that comma, you're going to have index 1 and index 2 and index 3 and so on and so forth, as long as the number of fields in each line are there. So what we do is, okay, we look through each of the file, get each of the line, compare one of the indexes, which corresponds to maybe the data that is being passed to the from the form, right? So if the form was containing some two fields, username and password, we could extract it here. I'm going to open another file that has that, but for now, so we say, okay, if this line is so, then that user exists. What should we do? We can then set line 2 or index 2, which is this, to be the password. And how do you do that? You set it the same thing, line at index 2 is equal to the password, right? Which is this new password. So I'm just going to change it to something else, right? Then what do I need to do? Few minutes. What I need to do then is to open the file again. But in this case, you could just literally open in a read append mode. But still, this one would work, right? You reopen the file now in write mode, right? Um, this one could be append mode because, okay, each of the mode will go because we're just replacing something. Write mode, and then we write back the data into the file, right? And let's see if this is going to work. Uh, so let's just see this. This one will be called file.csv in write mode. I'm going to try to refresh this. We don't have any error. Let's come back to this and see. Okay, so it did not go. Mm, so I'm going, sorry, let me change the password again, 1234 to something. And this one could be a pen. Now that we've gotten this, let me try to refresh this and check the CSV file. Okay, you see that this has written it, but the main problem right now is that it is going to write the same data again. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to replace this data, right? So that is what we are supposed to do. Let us see how we can replace this data uh, instead of rewriting it again, like adding another field with the corrected password. So coming back to here, um, let us reset the password. Set password online. And what we need to do, okay, set it and we close that. Let me see. Few minutes, guys. Let me see. There's something I'm trying to figure out here. So I could put this in read append mode. Let us see if this is really going to work. Uh, Let me see. Did it work? It's basically just an assignment and it is not really going to work. So let me check that. Reset password should not be this problem. Set password in CSV file. Okay, so see this. While it is not yet the end of the file, let's close it here. While it is not yet the end of the file, let us get each of the line and check if the username exists, then replace the password, then try to write this. Let me see. Format line CSV, optional delimiter, the option. I think I'll have to research on this. Let me just refresh and see if it works. Okay, it doesn't. Okay, guys, I think I'll have to check this out. Let me see. Let me go to W3 schools and see if that is going to help. Uh, Set password in CSV file, PHP. Mm. Random username from this CSV upload. No. Let me see. There could be another way that you totally delete the line and rewrite it. That's an option, but I don't think that's the best approach to take. So let me check if there is another way here. Implement forgot password in PHP and CSV. If this was SQL, it would really be just straightforward. Forgot password, MySQL. Let me see this. This one doesn't really solve it. So guys, I think I will check and hopefully tomorrow we will handle this for the reset password. But basically what you want to do is that the last code I wrote actually did not totally replace the password. It instead wrote the second line. I just discovered that it wrote the second line instead of replacing. So what you want to do is, okay, for the first thing, you will check, you will look through the data and check for a corresponding, say, username that is coming from the front end. If that username exists, then you can replace the data for the corresponding password. And then you want to replace that file You want to replace that same data in the same line. You don't want to write it again. Show you that what I mean. Um, so what this one will do is that it's going to write the data the second time. And if it writes that data the second time, you could also handle it another way, that it is going to delete the one that already existed. I think I'm going to, let me see, user1 gmail.com. I'm just going to copy this and paste. So get the line, reset the password, write the data back, file.csv. Write the data back and maybe print out something which I'm not interested in the print. Okay, let me see this. I think something is, I think I just got a fix to this, right? Let me check this. Let me check the other one. Whatever the problem was at the beginning, let me check this password, set it to 1234, and then refresh this. And okay, 1234. What is here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's not yet a fix. All right, guys, we'll just have to skip for now, right? So let's talk about MySQL. And I remember answering a question before about MySQL. And what I'm going to do is just to establish a simple database connection to, yeah, with PHP. Then we can move from there to, maybe from tomorrow, we'll actually take this MySQL the way it's supposed to be taken. So we talked about databases, and we said most of the times, most applications have they have storage, right? And most of the time as well, this storage needs to be organized. Now, this CSV was one of the storage, right? You could consider it to be a database, but we want to talk about database as an organized collection of data from where we can actually retrieve, right? We can retrieve data, we can store data, we can manipulate data. And since you've already gone through the tutorial, I just want to show you how uh, I asked you to install XAMPP before. That was one of the thing that you were supposed to do at the beginning. And XAMPP will help you to, uh, it's a database management system that helps you to manage databases, perform queries on it, and so on. I don't know if all of you have XAMPP or you have other applications. Even if you have other applications, they are going to look the same. If you want to access your databases, you use localhost /php/myadmin, making sure that your XAMPP is running, right? Now, with this, I think it's definitely supposed to load XAMPP. Let me just hope my system doesn't misbehave right now. So it's definitely supposed to load XAMPP, and let me see this. Oh, let me try to close some stuff. So many applications open right now, and my machine wants to freeze. That's not going to be funny. Okay. Try to refresh this thing. What's up right now? Okay, so you access your databases via XAMPP using localhost/php and there you can see a list of all your databases, right? Uh, that you failed it. If your if your mentor is having issues with it, don't you think he's going to consider some stuff? But I did not say I'm going to consider though. So um guys, please just excuse me. My system is kind of slow at the moment. I think I'm back. And yeah, so if you notice, this is XAMPP. Let me put it the way it's supposed to be. So this is XAMPP, and you are able to access all the databases you have on your system. And for example, let me just show you one of them. So a database simply has tables, right? And those tables are made up of rows and columns. Now, information for a particular, let's talk about user, is stored on a row, and each of those rows like has several columns, one or more columns. So you can have somebody's username, somebody's password, and so on. So this is how a database looks like. This is how a database table looks like. um, I might not have to explain the whole of this. What we want to do, Laragon is for somebody. What should I say? I think that's another database management system, right? I have not used that before, so I literally don't know. Maybe I'll check that out. So this is how a database table looks like, and you can use PHP to connect to this kind of database. This is a relational database. You can use PHP to connect to it and be able to maybe store data, retrieve data, get a lot of other things. Like for example, your LMS that you're using is using MySQL database, and you can imagine the number of tables that exist, the number of rows in each table, and so on. There are about 24 to 50,000 students. In fact, there's a lot, right? So databases help you store data and manage it on your applications. And what we want to do right now, we will just connect to this database. And yeah, I think we'll just connect to it, establish a connection. And to establish a connection to a database, you need some credentials from the database, right? And for those of you who installed XAMPP, there are some default credentials. So I'm going to first of all set those credentials, right? I have, let's say, there are three main credentials. You have the host, you have the username, and you have the password, right? Those are the three main things that you use. In some cases, you want to also connect directly to the database, right? So I'm going to start with host name, and by default on your PC is localhost, right? Your username by default is root, and your password by default is empty string. That means there is no password. But if you are installing XAMPP and you decided to put password, then you need to pass in the password. Then, if you want to connect directly to the database, you pass the database name like this. Now, the database, you also have to make sure that you have created the database. Okay. So, for example, I have to do app, I have voting, I have Zuri board, and so on. I could just choose one of them and connect to it. Let's say S8IMS, right? And I could just put that here. S8, sorry, S8IMS, right? And that is not all. You've just defined the connection string. Now you want to create a connection using MySQL. This is the latest way to create a connection to a database. And I'm going to use a procedural approach, like what we've been doing. We have been doing procedural programming. I'm going to use a procedural approach. When we go to the level of object-oriented programming, we'll also see a better way to connect to a database. Now, what we need to do is to use a procedural approach, you define your connection. Let me try to deactivate this at the moment. You define your connection, right? So I could say connection is equal to SQLi, right? You use the underscore connect to connect to the database. Now, let me get rid of this at the moment. Right now, MySQL underscore connect. If I hover over it, it say it opens a new connection to MySQL server. All right, and this is basically some kind of a function that has already been predefined for you to use. Right, so this is one of the PHP inbuilt function that you can use. So what you need to do is, okay, now that we have this MySQL underscore connect, it takes in some parameters, right? So it is going to take in the first, if you notice what is over here, like what is popping up here, we have to pass in the host first, which is the host name. Then the next is what? The user that is trying to connect, uh, username. The next is going to be the password. And the next is going to be the database. Like this one, you must not pass it in, like it's not required, right? This only applies when you want to connect to the database directly, like you already know the database you are connecting it. You can pass it directly in here, right? Now we have this connection, and we don't know whether it's been connected or not, and that is what we want to check, right? If there was a connection, or if there was no connection, this stands for not, this exclamation. If there was no connection, then we should kill the execution and return this error. Uh, Else, what should we do? Let's just echo connected successfully. Now, I'm going to tweak this thing a bit so that it will not connect like this, right? And config.php. Let me try to access that. What's up with my system at the moment? Config.php. When I run that, I should have an error because I've literally just tweaked out something. I have put in the wrong username. I want to see if it's going to catch that error. What's up with my system this evening, for real? Okay, so you see connection failed and you get the error, access denied for user at localhost to this database because the username is wrong. Now, this MySQLi underscore connect error is what is actually printing out this thing here. So basically, if I change this username to Ruth, then I hope it should connect. Refresh this, and we see connected successfully, right? That is how you are going to establish a connection to the database, and then you can now use this connect to do a lot of other stuff. Let's take, for example, let us instead of just echoing this out, let us do some stuff. Let's say SQL. uh, SQL is equal to select star from users, and I'm going to explain this in few minutes or few seconds. Let me see if there's a users table here, and that is what I want to do. So the users table, I want to get everything from this user table, right? Let me see if there's even data inside. So I have three fields, right? Yeah, I have three fields. So I want to get everything from the user table, and this is just the SQL, right? This is just the SQL that I've defined. Now I will use PHP to execute this SQL. And to do that, let me set it to a result. equal to MySQL. Yeah, what's MySQL underscore query, and I'm going to pass in the first parameter query takes is going to pass in the connection string, right? And then the SQL file or the SQL script that you've written. That is what it does, right? Now, what we want to do is we also want to check. So you see, while loop might come in here, but it's not really necessary. I want to get all the data, so I could literally just do this. I had to do autocomplete here because I do not want to type everything. So now that we have this query, right, we want to check if the result exists and number of rows in that result is greater than 0. This is what we have here. Like if MySQL num rows of the result is greater than 0, then we should get each row, convert it into an associative array, right? Then print the data out. Like that's basically what it's going to do. Let's see here. Let me see the nature of the data. So I have the name, the email, and I'm just going to also talk about the username, right? So I want to get the ID, I want to get the name, I want to get the username, right? Let's see what this one is going to actually print out for us. Refreshing this. Oh God, I feel like what's up? So let me just try to refresh this and let's see what happens. Uh, let's see. So basically, we have this data printed out. Like, sorry, the data is really messy. I did not name. I mean, there are about 3 rows, right? Row one, row two, row three, and that is exactly what is here, right? Let me even try to insert some data here so that you see uh, what's happening here. Sure. Although my sister was not happening this evening. Well, if I keep troubling my system, I just believe that it's going to crash right now. I mean, it's going to go off. So I'm just going to edit this data here. Let me pass in some data. Uh, pass in sugar. I'll also pass in what again? Let's see. Okay, now that we have that, let me try to refresh the page now and we see. I don't know what's wrong. My system is disturbing right now. Okay, so we have this. This is how you are going to connect to a database using MySQL. I think from tomorrow we'll really go deep into this. I'll show you how to use a function to do that, how to actually query data, and so this is how you connect. You send a connection string like credentials to the database. You set a connection, MySQL underscore connect. This is for procedural. You pass in the host name, the username, the password, and DB name if you know already. And then the next thing, you can write your query, like, or you check the connection was successful or not, and so on, right? Uh, You check if the connection was successful or not, and then you can do a lot of other things, right? And this is going to work. This is how you'll be able to connect. Remember that I actually did edit some fields in the database. If I try refreshing this, I should be able to get the refreshed fields that I updated in the database, like the name that was sugar should show up here. And this is exactly it, right? This is how you connect to the database. I hope that maybe from tomorrow, I really try to prepare something better. And then for somebody who is asking about hashing password, there are several ways to hash password in PHP. You have bcrypt. You should just check the hashing algorithms that PHP actually uses, right? Maybe we could tackle that tomorrow. So I have Jonathan Roland. Yeah, I have literally not used Laragon before. I don't know why. Well, Laravel is a PHP framework. And if somebody was talking about Laragon, was it a database management system? I don't know that. Yeah, so this is how you're going to be able to establish a database. So there are three things that we'll do tomorrow, at least three things. We will see how to work on this reset that we're not able to complete today. Next thing, we will continue with database configuration and SQL and all of that. And then we'll move into other things, right? Yeah, guys, that is what we have been able to do today. Basically, it's already past 9. Is there a question I've not answered? Like Nena, I said for database or for password hashing, you have a lot of algorithms there, right? Um, bcrypt is one of the most used. You also have the normal hash. Let me check. Uh, Password hashing in PHP. But I literally have to close some things right now. So you have the normal password hash, right? Let me just open the PHP documentation and you see what I mean. Open opens. So you have the normal password hash that you can decide to actually define the type of hash that you want. Password hash is a general function. You define the algorithm that you want to use to hash the password. By default is the default hashing algorithm. So you have uh, password hash that creates a new password hash using a strong one-way hashing algorithm. And let me see where it is used. Let's see a case. So for example, you have something like password hash, and then you pass in the password that you are hashing and the algorithm that you want to use, right? And it's going to hash that password for you. Now, for you to be able to actually check this now, to check the password, you might have to use compare, because literally sometimes when you hash a password, it generates a random string. Uh, yeah, this is how you are going to be able to hash password in PHP. There are really many ways. When you get to Laravel, you even use the default hash that does something for you. Very awesome. That's how you hash password. Okay, Nena. Hopefully that should be okay. All right, guys. I don't want to extend the time. I don't know if there is another class that is supposed to hold after this. Are we okay? Can we call it off for the day? Okay, guys. I think we will end here, right? I think we'll end here. You guys have a good night. Like I said, I'll try to make sure that we solve the problem of password reset tomorrow. Actually, actually got me today. So yeah, we will solve it tomorrow for sure. I assure you. All right. You guys should take care. Good night.